For this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a simple garden path. We're going to be using acrylics and doing it step by step from start to finish. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat for our live show, so if you have questions while I'm painting, you can ask those and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to be using a 9 by 12 inch linen canvas board from Fredrix today. It's got a smooth nap, and really you could use any size that you like for this. I altered the original photo. It was my own photo that I took, and kind of photoshopped it a little bit to add that garden path. It's a little crooked, so we're going to straighten it up and hopefully make it look a little bit better than the reference photo. We're going to be using a few brushes from Princeton today. This is the number 8 Filbert, the 5/8 inch, 3/8 inch, and 1/4 inch deerfoot stipplers. Got 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch Willow's blenders. Really just any kind of stippling brushes here are going to work for you for some of the foliage in the background. And then I've got a fan brush for some of the smaller grasses, and then some longer liners for some of the tall grasses. We've got a number 2 script liner and a 10-aught smaller liner, and then a 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch angle brush for some of the flowers, and a number 2 round for also kind of some of the flowers and different details. So those will be our basic brushes. We may not use all of them, but just use whatever you've got that's kind of similar. Let's go over our colors really quick. I've got burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium yellow light, phthalo green yellow shade, teal, cobalt teal, phthalo blue green shade, ultramarine blue, dioxazine purple, Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium Red Light, and Cadmium Orange, Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and this is a little bit of glazing medium. I've got just a regular school chalk that I'll use for just a light sketching, and I might be using my palette knife for some mixing. I'm not sure, but I think I want to mix a few different kind of greens so that it'll go a little faster while we're kind of doing our painting here. So welcome, and if you're new to our channel, I hope you stick around and subscribe and come back. We do these live shows twice a week, and yeah, have a lot of fun. Hi to everybody watching with us live. I've got a bit of a cold, so that's my voice is a little off today, but we're gonna push through. All right, so there's our third. I'm gonna go just above the third, just a little bit for kind of the end of the garden path, and sort of just snake it on down this way. And really, you can make this as wide as you want to. It's all make-believe anyways, right? So we're just, what it was actually was it was a square planter, and it had this stone on the top of the square planter that you're seeing in the reference photo. So all of the pictures were of this stone kind of square area of flowers. And I took pictures at different angles, and when I got home, I just photoshopped them all together and kind of made it a little arrangement because I didn't have a path to work with. So I think that's going to work for us. You're just going to want it to widen out at the base here so that it looks like, it's in perspective. It's going to get smaller as you go farther away. And ours is not like a super long path, so our flowers here are not going to be much smaller than the ones in front, so it's not going to have this really wide perspective. It's kind of a short field of view here, and I'm just going to have a few different bushes here. I'm going to kind of do 3 planes, maybe do kind of one layer of bushes back here that are kind of tall and filling in all this back area, and then another layer kind of here that's sort of going over the path and filling up this middle ground, and then this larger area that's going almost up to the halfway mark here, that's our foreground. Okay. So big bushes in this foreground that are kind of filling up this whole area here. I just loved the colors in this, and it was pretty funny because my friend and I that I was with, we were walking by looking at all the flowers, and we just happened to pass by some people who were volunteers, just kind of working on planting some new stuff in one of the beds. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, this is the most beautiful garden I've ever seen. And they all looked at me like, like I was Elf in that coffee machine, like I was like, you did it. They looked at me like I was so weird. They're like, thank you. Like, obviously they were just, probably hired for the day. There's no telling. I don't know. It just was pretty funny to me. It just struck me. I've never felt more like Elf in that moment. You did it. Great job. World's best garden. I don't know. Anyhow, it was funny to me.
Let me turn on my mic here.
People think it's funny also.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right, so I've just mixed a little bit of the unbleached titanium. I'm going to lay in pretty dark on my path here. I want it fairly dark. And in my photograph, I couldn't get the rocks to kind of go straight, but they're going to lay more horizontally. It's going to look a little bit more natural if they kind of are doing this than tilting. They're not going to look like that. So we're just going to lay them horizontal. And I'm just going to do my brush strokes in that direction so that if I do get any of these streaky things, it'll just look like it is part of the design. And we don't have to worry about fixing those later or anything. So all right, there we go. Pretty good. I think that's going to work. And really, I'm just going to be putting in some basic shapes at first, and then I think it's going to come together pretty quickly. I'm going to try to keep this as beginner friendly as I can. I always say that and then really complicate it up, but I'm going to really try this time. I'm going to do the background ones a little bit darker and a little bit more, maybe a little bit more blue in them. We'll see. And like I said, I'm going to have kind of several different color families here. We're going to kind of have blue greens and then like yellow greens and sort of everything in between here. Kind of like if you did the Monet waterfall or water lilies bridge that we did several years ago. I think I'm going to kind of take from his book of tricks, and he did a lot of like burnt siennas mixed in with his greens, and he did a lot of like varying, because a lot of that painting, especially that water lily bridge, it's all green. It's like all green, and so it's really easy to get like when you have a painting like this, it's just a lot of greens. It's easy to get kind of lost in all of it and end up with a bunch of nothing that, no shapeless mess, So we're going to try to kind of be conscious of adding in some other, a bunch of different tones of green, and that way we get kind of a lot of interest all the way through. And we're manufacturing this because obviously these flowers were all in the same light, in the same, there was no perspective in this. So we're manufacturing this kind of perspective here that I'm doing. So I'm going to add a little bit of phthalo blue here, because they were all pretty much facing me.
When you come up for air, we got a question.
Okay, go for it.
Somebody asked, do different grades of paintbrushes clean differently? Like are like the more expensive ones, do they clean easier, or is it all about the same? Or
the more expensive ones will not shed as much when you clean them. It's one of the things with they're just a little bit sturdier. So, the tendency for the cheaper brushes is to kind of lose their bristles when you really work that paint, try to get that paint out of them. They'll, yeah, but I don't think that the paint releases from them any easier, really. If anything, it probably sucks onto the better paintbrushes more because they're designed to hold more water and stuff. So they probably take a little bit longer to clean, probably, I would guess, than the cheaper ones. But I do notice that the cheaper ones shed a lot more. Okay, so I'm going to make some pockets of dark here in my... This whole back area just kind of ended up being sort of all the same dark, which is fine. But I'm going to try to sort of create this pocket of dark back here that is in our mid-ground. And we will definitely be working from back to front so that, you know, when you're working with grasses, you don't want to do your grass down here and then try to fill in around it. It's just not going to work. So you're going to want to do all of your stuff in the background first and then overlap your grasses on front as you get towards the front. It just makes it a whole lot easier. Okay, these ones over here are getting a little bit more sun, it feels like. So I'm going to add a little bit of the yellow, maybe a little bit of the yellow oxide so it's not so bright right off the bat, because I still do want it to be kind of dark. Add that brown and yellow, phthalo green. There we go. So we'll use a little bit more of a yellow or green, and that is also kind of going to trick the eye into thinking. Generally, things that are farther away from you are going to get cooler, more, you know, purples and blues. And that's just kind of the landscape 101. So if we kind of make these things in our foreground more yellowed, more warm colored, it'll automatically kind of push those blue colors into the background for us, even though, you know, our original photo didn't necessarily have that. So we're just going to kind of see if we can get it to look a little farther away back there. Plus having them a little bit smaller obviously will help too. But we're going to use all the tricks we can to get it to sort of seem farther away back there.
So our friend Ruth has made it back in the show.
Thanks, Ruth. Sorry about that. Mark accidentally banned you last week.
A little collateral damage there.
She got in the way of the spammer.
Yep.
Spammer fire. She got in front of the ban hammer is what happened.
Yes.
On accident.
Yeah.
She's just innocent collateral damage.
And as you were going through the list trying to find her name, you're like, man, there's been a lot of people banned.
I know. There's a lot of banned people. And like, you guys have been busy.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we have one or two a show. And I'm thinking, well, okay. So if you have 300, plus videos, that's a lot of people. Adds up pretty fast. Okay, so you notice right here, like I've got this dark line here. And that's because when I was doing this color, I went over here and I didn't finish this section. So I probably should have, what would have been better is if I had used that blue green that was there, that I was using here, this color, and just pulled down like this into that color underneath. Instead of having like a solid line there, it would just make it a little bit easier to overlap over the top. So I'm just trying there. That helped. Kind of just, you can see how it kind of blended that out. You just want to kind of, you don't want any solid lines in here. It's just going to make it that much harder to blend them in if we have to cover over a line, because there's not going to be any solid lines in this kind of a flower arrangement type of thing, unless you've got a planter or something like that that's man-made. But our natural shapes are going to be much more soft and fluid. So anyhow, okay, so that looks good. I'm going to go back through and just tap out, trying to make sure that I've got all of my white out. I'm going to use the tip of the brush here and just kind of tap along that line between those two colors. Get all of the white out of my canvas if I can. It's actually going to go nice and dark right along that edge, which will be good because we'll have a nice shadow there on our path. All right, so a lot of nothing right now, but
It looks like about what mine would be finished. Hang that on the refrigerator. Would be good.
yeah. What was the quote that that lady's husband posted? Well, do you have that email you sent me? I loved it. It was
Yeah.
great.
I'll
Yeah, find it. We had a really neat post in our Facebook group this week. She was frustrated with her painting, and she kind of threw it out, and her husband pulled it out of the trash and left a really sweet note on it. All right, Mark's going to look it up for us. So let's go ahead while this is drying. Let's go ahead and mix up a few different greens. So I'm going to use Ultramarine Blue here and burnt sienna or burnt umber first, and I'm going to make a gray. That'll be for our path. Pretty much 50-50. If you want it more brown, you can add more brown. If you want it more blue, add more blue. It's just, it makes a really good basic gray. These two colors, burnt umber, ultramarine blue. Okay, and then I'm going to scooch it so that I can try to get it as thick as possible all in one spot, because the thinner it is, the faster it's going to dry out on our palette. Okay, so there's our first mix, and then I'm going to grab more ultramarine blue. I've got that gray in my palette. Let's go ahead and grab some cadmium yellow medium. See what happens. It's going to make a kind of a khaki green. It's a really pretty color. What are you laughing at?
Somebody said, did you just say that will be for our cat or that will be for our cad? Hopefully for a cad.
Our path.
Path. Oh, okay,
I'm
so
sorry,
neither.
my voice is...
That's okay. So how much of this do you want me to read?
Just read his quote. I just wanted to read his quote there.
He said, a beautiful work of art is never finished.
Oh. Yeah, I love that.
And you'll have to subscribe to the newsletter
To see the picture.
to see the picture in
That's
the
right.
in the post.
Ooh, good newsletter plug there.
Lead
honey.
in, huh? You know, add that little
I like
segue.
it. It's at thankfulart.com. If you go there, there's a newsletter place to sign up at the bottom of the
Scroll down
page.
the bottom.
We do weekly newsletters now that I have help with it. Brennan does an amazing job. We have a weekly chat session, and we talk mostly about music and and a little bit about what's going in the newsletter. Let's be real. But yeah, he's helping me out with that, and he does a great job. So I write it out, and he just kind of assembles it all and helps me. Okay, so here's a little bit brighter version. That turned out a lot brighter than I thought it would with that ultramarine blue. But using that, it's amazing. This is the cadmium yellow medium, and this is the cadmium yellow light. Look at how much brighter that color is with that cadmium yellow light. It's because the cadmium yellow medium has a little bit more of an orange base, and when mixed with that blue, it turns slightly more khaki. But that cadmium yellow light is already on the kind of green side of the spectrum, and so when you mix it with the blues, it just gives you these really vivid greens. They're really beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of line these up and do different greens here, and I'm going to mix some of this teal with some of the cadmium, or some of the yellow oxide, see what happens there. I'm really just kind of playing here just to see what happens. I kind of generally know what colors these are going to make, but ooh, that's pretty. It's kind of a creamy sage color. That'll be a really nice one to use. So we need some darker greens, which we've got some dark to start out with, which is nice, but we will want some darker, even darker greens. So I'm going to grab some purple and use the phthalo green with that purple. And I'm going to use a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta too. So that'll make a color. There's some bushes in here that are that purple, I'm trying to think of the name of the flower, the plant, but they have purple leaves, so this will be a good one for that. It's got just a little bit of that green to tone it down. And we'll probably add a little bit more quinacridone to it when we get going. I'm going to spray these so that they don't start drying on me while I'm still working. Let's mix some phthalo blue with our yellow oxide. That's going to make a pretty green. All these different blues are going to make different kind of tones, greens. That's almost like a teal. That's really pretty. I like that one. We have to make some more of that. So you can see what we're doing here, kind of just getting all these different tones of green. Let's go ahead and make one with the burnt sienna. I know it's going to make a teal with this color, so I'm going to do that over here. Phthalo blue with the burnt sienna. And the more burnt sienna I use, the more blue, blue-green it'll be. I'm sorry, more phthalo blue I use, the more blue it is. But I use almost 50-50 on this one, so we can always, tone it down and add more of the that'll be a nice dark green, really pretty color for us. See if I can get it. It's not wanting to stick back together there. There we go. Okay. I think that's a good head start there. We'll just have a few colors to work with here. All right. So let's go ahead and start with this brush here. This is the 3/8 inch angle. That's pretty much dry. And I'm also going to use, well, I'll start with this one and we'll see how it goes. So let's use the bluer greens back here to start with. So I'm going to use this phthalo green and, or phthalo blue and yellow oxide up in here. And I'm going to need a little bit of this, I'll use unbleached titanium to make it show up against here. Oh, there's somebody here at the door.
Yeah.
I'm going to use some of the, I think that was the Ultramarine Blue plus that color, yellow oxide. You can hear Mark. Somebody's here to buy our old garbage disposal. I tried to get somebody to come and, like one of the charities in town, just to come and get some. We're doing home remodels, so we're trying to get, just donate some of our old stuff, old doors and different things, and couldn't get anybody to come get it. So I just put it on Facebook, and man, that stuff all day yesterday. I had people coming and getting stuff. It was great. So we got rid of every single thing on just about. It was awesome. They're happy. I'm happy. Everybody's happy. She get it?
Yep.
Nice.
And I got a Hamilton.
What? Oh. Very good. Just doing little kind of random spots here. Leaving a little bit of that dark color showing. We're going to stay fairly dark in this background, and then we'll do a lot of our really bright colors back here. Or up in here, I should say. So I'm just kind of doing a little bit of one color and then switching off and doing a little bit of another color. Now, right by the path here, we're going to have more kind of shorter grassy type stuff. So, but up in here, I'm kind of just doing big bushy type stuff. I'm using the tip of my brush to kind of create some random leaf shapes. It doesn't have to be anything really specific. I can even use my brush here. Let's go ahead and get some of this khaki color.
We got somebody wanting to know, is there a reason why you chose not to use sap green?
Really, because I'm mixing, colors that are very similar to it. So, but you can totally use it if you want to. It would be a great color to work in here. I just tend to use the same basic palette most of the time. So, what's this? Kind of phthalo blue, phthalo green. And I find that I can mix most of everything that I want with the phthalo blue and phthalo green combo. So,
How about Hooker's green?
yeah. It's another one. Don't start.
Oh yeah, I got the pre-show warning.
I know. So you better
Sorry.
be nice because I'm not feeling good today.
I'll be good, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying this really, really hard. Really, 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 really hard.
Really, really hard.
Yes.
Mark's like a shark. He sees weakness and he pounces on it. It's like he likes to mess with me when I'm sick.
What?
Yeah. Don't deny it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know about that.
Uh-huh. I do. I do. All right. Making some lighter versions here, and let's add in some random bits in here. I just need a little bit of something kind of emerging, and I'm literally just kind of using the tip and wiggling it and dabbing it and not leaving it in any one place for any length of time, just creating kind of some random little leaf shapes. If I pounce straight down, I'll kind of go through the repertoire, what is that word? Of repertoire of different things we can do here. So we're going to be using all of these different techniques, and you just use whichever ones work best for you. So for these back bushes, if I press my brush nice and flat so that I have a good tip on my angle brush, and you could do this with a flat brush too, it's just easier with an angle because it's got that little tip to it. I can set my brush down and flick it to get kind of grassy shapes, or I can press down straight down to get little dots. If I angle it to the side when I press down, I get kind of more leaf type shapes. And then so with these bushes, what I'm doing is kind of just turning my brush and letting it create these random lines and dots and dabs. And I'm lightly overlapping them, just slightly. And then I can go back over with the lighter colors to fill in. But this is basically what I'm doing here with this. I'm just kind of doing a combination of all these different, these three different sort of techniques with it. And then for some of the ones that I'm wanting to do kind of long, tall, spiky trees, I'm going to just kind of set it down and flick it upward. I'm doing this now because I may not take the time to remember to tell you what I'm doing later. So I want to be sure that you kind of get all of these different techniques. And then when I'm doing the grasses, I'm going to be overlapping them and turning my brush in the angle that I want those lines to go so that I get good overlapping of them. And I'm going to keep those wet because I don't want that to dry out. Oh, shoot. And then, yeah, on some of my trees, I'm going to be a little bit more strategic about the outline of them and kind of do some like little leafy type shapes. If I kind of press the brush straight down and kind of pull it, I can get like a leaf shape. So I'm wherever that tip is angled, and then I pull up. So depending on how long I make those brush strokes, I can get longer and shorter little leafy shapes. And then this is going to be the same brush that we use for our flowers. So when we do our flowers, it's going to be basically the same kind of thing. We're going to be doing little dabs all kind of in little clusters. So they're going to be doing like that to make their flower shapes. And maybe even smaller, teeny tiny little dabs to make the, littler kind of clustered flower shapes. And the little round dot ones that are like the yellow ones there in the foreground, we're just going to kind of dab straight down to get those. So pretty much, most of the stuff we're going to do, we'll be using this brush. And we may not need I used a little bit of the stippler there, but I'm not sure if we're going to need it. So I'll use it for some of this background stuff. Get a few of these greens in here and just kind of tap in a few things this is more for like trees. So this is more for like if you had a big old tree in the background, that they would have this really fine bushy texture. But our bushes are a little bit bigger than that, I feel like. So do have a little bit of this kind of stuff going on here in the mid ground though. So what you doing, hon? Very restless today.
Well, I had to answer the door because you sold stuff during the show. You got a side hustle going on. And now I want some peanut butter for some reason. I'm hoping I'm not pregnant.
Are you eating it with pickles? Then I would be worried. If not, I think you're okay. I want peanut butter too. All right. Let's grab some of the darker color here. My dark teal color. That was the Phthalo blue and burnt sienna. Add some of that back in here.
That's the best part about having the kitchen in the studio.
It is nice. You don't have to go
You
far
just-
for your food.
Exactly. It's just right here.
I'm going to do some of the long lines here with the lighter color so that it shows up against the dark color back there. And I'm going to do those little kind of bushy things off of these.
Maybe we should have an official peanut butter sponsor of the show.
Maybe we ate enough snacks during the show. We need a snack sponsor. Should have got myself hooked up with that Russian snack food company that was trying to get me to sponsor, to be a sponsor. No forethought there. No. I dropped the ball on that one. All right. Getting some white, and then if I add a little bit of yellow, up just a little bit. And there we go. And if these are not coming out thin enough for you, you can use a different brush. You could switch to a small liner brush for this, whatever works for you. So don't feel like you have to. I'm just comfortable with this brush because I use it a lot, so I know I can kind of work quickly with it. But if you are having trouble with this, just grab whatever brush works best for you. I do find that using a better brush and a more better quality brush will be just in general easier. You'll get better lines if you're doing, you know, wanting these small thin lines. I find that the better quality brushes just are easier to use in general. So that's why I recommend my students getting like the best brush they can afford. You know, and actually I just got done using the select brushes for that Princeton brush video series, and they were actually really good. You know, for a lower cost point brush, you know, they kind of are a little bit less expensive. The blue handled ones in the Princeton or the select, and then the Velvet Touch would be kind of the next level up from that. These are more of the high-end quality, but the Select were really very, very good. I was very impressed with them on the whole. I've been happy with them. So, all right. So, and the thing with this is that what we can do is like, so now we've got this here that we've got kind of you can see where those all start. So now we just can go in and do another layer over the top of the bottom of those. And then as we work our way down, we'll just cover up the ends of all of the leaf sections that we've got here. So, or the bushes, whatever. I guess leaf sections and bushes equal the same thing, right? That's my art brain speaking right there.
Somebody just reminded me that
Get some burnt sienna here. What?
that Chick-fil-A has macaroni and cheese right now.
Uh-oh.
I might have to try that with dinner.
Sounds like a plan. All right, so I mixed burnt sienna with teal, and this is why I get emails, honey. This right there, that is why I get emails about you. Just saying. I'm starting to see why, you know, I get emails.
So I agree with you. That was totally unrelated to anything you're doing, but a public service announcement.
Okay. All right. Moving on. All right, creating some gray here, light gray. I'm going to work on my path there too, because we got to, you know, it's got to move with our bushes down, you know, so we don't want to do the bushes down here and then have them overlap in our path or whatever, or vice versa. We kind of, anyhow, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just going to work on the path now. Stop talking. And I'm going side to side with this. So just kind of creating a light gray color here. And I don't want it to lean, so I want it to stay horizontal. Kind of leaning a little bit there. So I'm going to just kind of randomly, basically laying my brush almost flat here and just creating some rough patches in my stone. And we can go a little bit darker on these ones back here, like maybe they're going down into shadows because we've got all these tall bushes around them. And then as we get out here, they're getting more sunlight maybe. Start to get a little bit lighter. And if you want to get real fancy with it, you could even kind of do, you know, stones and mark them out. I've done a lot of, you know, different lessons with stones, like we've done buildings and bridges and things with stones, so you could make a path with different stones laid out. That'd be kind of cool. I think I'm doing kind of more just sort of slate sections. These are all kind of stuck together. There's not a whole lot of grout or anything between them, so just kind of.
So you feeling the pellet knife for the path yet?
Oh yeah, we could do that.
You feeling
That's a
it?
good idea. Where is it? I don't even know what I did with it. What did I do with
You were
that?
mixing
Oh,
paint
oh,
with
there
it.
it is. Let's get this unbleached titanium here. Some burnt. I'm getting in with my gray there. Burnt umber. That's a good idea. See how it kind of creates that texture on our path. Cool. And if you don't like this, you can just do it this way, up here, all the way down, however works for you. There we go. Nice. Good idea. Is that your idea?
No.
Whose idea was that? Well, thank you, whoever it was. All right, I'm going to go in here. Now I've got the 3/8 inch Willows blender. I'm going to go right up against that path there and tap in front of it on the edge there a little bit.
It was Marilyn.
The teal. Oh, thank you, Marilyn. Get some of this darker color here. I'm going to just darken up where these kind of go down into those bushes there. A little bit. I'm going to use the edge of this brush to kind of create some grassy things happening right here. Coming out over the path a little bit. Use a darker color to kind of use a little bit of light, use a little bit of dark, back and forth to get these kind of things happening in here. Let me get some of this purple. I'm going to add some burnt sienna to my, there we go. Magenta, a little bit of burnt sienna. We'll do some bushes back here that are that purpley color. Just dabbing in. These are going to look a lot darker at first. We're going to add highlights. So everything right now is going to be a little bit dark, and that's okay. We'll add our lighter colors later. I think the one thing that that we tend to do when we're first learning to paint is want to just kind of skip some steps and skip ahead to the fun part, which is the highlights and flowers, and you don't do the work of building your foundation of your painting. You know, that's what we're doing here. So we're kind of building that foundation up so that when we put our bright colors on top, we have some really dark, deep, interesting things going on behind it to set them off. Otherwise, it's going to look kind of flat if we just jump in and do our light colors, and then there won't be anything for it to kind of play off of. So it's looking good. It's coming together here, I think. Just getting some different shapes, and really you could do this however you wanted to. Random, make up your own garden. Just kind of vary up the shapes of your plants, you know. Some are tall spiky, some are shorter, a little bit different colors, different leaf shapes. I think that's what they do, you know, in a garden. It's kind of just like a living canvas almost. And they're creating these layers with living plants.
In some people's gardens, they use living plants.
Some people do.
Yeah, we tend to start with living plants.
With living ones and end up with dead ones.
Yeah.
Well, that's another. It's creative, you know. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your own, you know, garden.
Different shades of brown. So
Please specialize in.
in our real garden, the path would be green, and everything around it would be all brown.
It would be all grass and
all moss and grass and that, and then all the other plants are dead.
we're painting reality.
Yes.
That's sadly true. That's sadly true. I had a beautiful garden for about 3 years there, flower garden, and then I got the brilliant idea to put the bird feeder in the garden because, like, you know, we had the bird feeders kind of off to the side. I was like, I need, you know, look, it would be really cool to have like the little birds in my garden, you know, kind of flitting around. So I put the bird feeder right smack dab in the middle of that garden, and that suet, oh my gosh, it came up so thick. It was just us pulling it out by the clump full. It just basically took over and killed everything in my garden. It was so sad. And I never really came back from it. I was like, okay, well, pretty much either dig up everything and start from scratch. And at that point, I was like, nope, I'm done. I did not have the, you know, yeah, we would have had to redo a bunch of stuff, so it's just not worth it.
Maybe next year.
I would love it, but
Maybe we'll remodel the yard sometime.
yeah, that would be nice. Remodel the backyard, get our garden back. But note to self: don't use thistle or suet in your garden. It's not good. Keep your bird feeders well away from your garden. Your flower garden. Well, thank you. Okay, going in here with some, and I'm just using random colors here. This was that gray. I added a little bit to this dark teal color here. Just kind of trying to get different little shapes happening. I'm just going to add like little random leafy shapes here. And this area is pretty light, so I'm just going to add some of this really dark in here in some pockets so I can have something to work against. I think it's coming along okay. Hopefully you can see it okay in the online there. The camera's not. Use some of this vivid green, maybe a little bit of this lighter sage green. Use it for some of our grasses that are here. So I went ahead and put some darker grasses in. Now I'm going to add some of the lighter colors kind of on top. Still keeping them fairly small, so we're not going to get really large until we get down into here. And then even still, you know, they're not going to be super large, but I mean, our grasses are going to be, you know, kind of like that size versus the super thin that we've got back here. So. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and bring some of this dark color over to about halfway. Here is where we're going to kind of start to transition to these larger, excuse me, larger bushes. So, and actually I could, yeah, I'm good, never mind. Okay. Let's see. Let's use our fan brush. We'll add some of the small grasses back in here. Using some of the. Wait, let's use the teal. This was the teal plus yellow oxide, so I'm just gonna use that. I'm adding a little bit more white to it, a little bit more of the teal to it. I'm going to set my brush down and kind of just quickly flick it up. If I use it kind of on an angle too. This is a very small fan brush, so if you've got a bigger one, you can just kind of use the corner of it. I need more paint on there. There we go. Fine fan brushes work a little bit better if you kind of kick that paint up on them pretty thick. And then use a light touch. There we go. So kind of load it up fairly thick with paint and then just kind of lightly drag it. And if you're having to press down real hard and you get these bigger kind of clumps, then you just need to stop and reload. So you can see what I did here. I had one a little bit higher, a little bit smaller, and then I did this one, this bigger one right here, and just kind of clumping them all together and making them overlap so that it pushes that one back. Gives a little bit of perspective right there. And let me go ahead and get my smaller, I'm just going to get my little angle brush here. I'm going to get another one of these colors. A little bit of white. So I'm using the same colors as before, just adding white now to them. And I'm going to go over the top of this one and just add some different kind of leaves. And now a little bit smaller, more. Leafy. Getting some kind of medium color here. And then just kind of tapping a little bit over the top of my... Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see what I'm doing here. I'm going to tap just a little bit. Thank you. Low down there. Getting some of that brown and just going to use the brown and the green sort of both and just sort of tap right along that edge to sort of add transition layer right there. And I don't want it to be too much of a straight line, so don't get too fussy with it. You just kind of want it to look a little bit kind of random. That's the main thing with all of these. Just kind of keep them as random looking as we can. A little bit smaller. Leafies. Is everything okay?
Just turn to bump up your audio.
Bring up my audio. Okay, well, I'll just bring it closer to me. Sorry. I'll try to talk louder. Keeping that. So I'm going to add more yellow now to these greens as I get down closer. This one, I'm going to use that fan brush. Ooh, that's pretty. That's going to really draw the eye. So I want my pathway to be pretty much done in that area before I do this, because I don't want to have to paint around it. So just save this until you know you like your path the way it is. Do the back side first and then overlapping over top a little bit. There we go. Do a little bit of it. And I got a little bit solid there, so I'm just going to get some darker color and go over the top with that. It'll kind of set it back. I'm just trying to keep my perspective, so as I get a little bit farther back, I'm just making those, these may be the same bushes or same plants, just making these ones a little bit smaller as they go farther back here.
So which brush are you using right now?
This is the fan brush. I'm just kind of using the edge of it to create some leafy shapes.
It looks like a small fan brush.
It is very small, 10-aught, 20-aught,
Ooh.
even smaller. Okay. And this may be a little early for those ones there, but all right, that looks good. Get my brush cleaned out here, so let's start kind of putting some flowers in back here, and then we'll kind of work our way forward with it. I don't need to finish all my greenery first, because some of the greenery is going to go over the top of our flowers, so we're kind of at that point where we sort of don't want to go much further until we get some flowers out going on. So I'm going to use this little bitty number 2 round here and some yellow. And we'll see, the yellow may not go over the top of this green very well, so we may have to just do some white first, or some very, very light yellow mixed with white. So mostly white, just a little bit of yellow mixed up over here, and then we'll go back in and darken them up later with more yellow. Kind of like we did in the boat last week when we did that blue section on it, where you get a brighter color if you start out with white and just put the blue or whatever color over the top of the white. So we'll do some white, little flowers back here, little daisies. And they're just little just setting down and kind of pulling forward, pulling upward. Little cone-shaped daisies. And we'll get a little bit of the cadmium red light and do the centers of those. They're going to be too bright, but we'll tone them down with some brown. But we'll be glad to have that color in there. Okay, there we go. Get some.
You changed up brushes.
Yeah, I said that.
You did? Okay.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't paying attention, and at least one other person wasn't.
Okay.
Are you going to tell us?
It's the yellow, it's number 2 round.
Number 2 round.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to use Ultramarine Blue with my Quinacridone Magenta, add a lot of white to it. I've got a few different kind of magentas here, just trying to get a tone that's similar to what I'm looking at in those flowers. It's kind of a violet. This is actually pretty close with the Ultramarine Blue mixed with the Quinacridone Magenta. And we're just going to tap it in. Up here over the top. Keeping them small up here. I'm going to use this Deerfoot stippler. Do some sections with it just kind of a little bit smaller, more tinier purple flowers. That's good. Let's use this brush here. We'll get some of this color that was this color here. Now I'm going to add some unbleached titanium to it. Maybe a little bit more of that quinacridone to brighten it up just a little bit. Maybe a little bit of burnt sienna to make it a little bit more on the orange side. There we go. I'm going to use that. These are big leaves on this. And then they have these tall, spiky white. I can't remember. These were in my garden. They used to be. I can't remember the name of them though. Chocolate something. They were chocolate. Can't think of it.
Bars?
Chocolate bars? No.
Brownies?
Mm-mm.
Dipped strawberries?
Mm-mm.
It's not coming to me then.
Those are the only ones, you know. Chips? No? Okay. Not that. They have like, I think there was like in the geranium family maybe. They have like a fan-shaped leaf. Adding some of the light highlight color to some of these. Oh, it's just pretty. So I want to, even though it's not in my picture, what I want to do is add some more of it down in here. Maybe a larger one right in here. It's not in my picture, but I'm going to go ahead and do it because I think it'll look good compositionally to have that color in a third place. So I'm thinking like we're going to have red poppies through here. And we've got some yellow here. So I'm thinking just right up in here. We'll put some of that color. And that way it'll be kind of like do. Maybe not across from this one. Maybe a little bit farther out this way. I don't want it to be looking like it's lined up, but so a little bit lower down. This is going to be a hard one to do traceable for because it's going to be so many different little, it's going to look like a bunch of different dots and dabs. Not a whole lot that you can draw out to trace, but we'll try. If you're interested in the traceables, we do have those available for all of the paintings that I've done since 2017. And before that, I had some available too, but not as many. But they're all available on my Patreon page. So if you want to check that out, it's patreon.com/AngelaFineArt, and it's $1 a month for as many traceables as you want to download. Not each, just $1 total for as many unlimited downloads as you want of the traceables that I have. And you can cancel anytime in there. You know, you can keep your traceables that you've downloaded. So.
And we try to remind everybody that it is based on a calendar month.
Oh, yes.
So depending on when you're watching this, if it's towards the end of the month, you may want to wait until the first of the month because it'll charge you for the current month and then on the first that next month also.
Yeah. So if the first is tomorrow, you get charged twice. No, it doesn't prorate it, unfortunately. I wish I don't have any control over that. That's just the way Patreon does it. So.
Okay, somebody has suggested Chocolate Cosmos.
Yep, that's the one. Thank you.
And you're a winner.
Ding, ding, ding.
20% off today's show.
It's free, hon. It's free.
Oh.
Yeah, like Alice.
So does that mean we get 20% back?
20% back? Yeah, I don't know.
20% of zero works. Is what? Let's see. Carry the 5.
Okay. I'm doing some little stems out from these for the little spiky flowers that are going to happen. And really, I need to wait on this one because I don't have these done back here first. So I need to leave those alone, but I'll come back to them. But yeah, so it's kind of like this color kind of behind the flowers. They do. So I'm just going to dab this burgundy color kind of behind the stalks that I did here, little spiky thingamabobs, and then there's like yellowish white flowers that cluster along them. So I'll use that yellow-white combo and just mix a little bit of it with that color that's already there in my brush. Teeny, teeny, tiny dots. Teeny, tiny dabs here. Yeah, cute. Okay, do some in here. They're not super noticeable in our picture. They kind of blend in, so I'm making them a little bit more prominent than we're seeing in our photograph. But that's the nice thing about painting. You can kind of put the focus on what you want and adjust things. Okay. This is definitely not going to be, you can probably tell already, it's not going to be like photorealistic. This is kind of more for kind of fun, just sort of our fantasy little garden here. We're just going to have fun and do some cool shapes. Let's use this thing here. I'm going to use a little bit of ultramarine blue and my white create a really light purpley blue color. It's almost like a blue violet with ultramarine blue and white. And I've got the littlest Deerfoot stippler here. And I'm going to just... now in my picture they're right above it, but I think I'm going to put them in one of these open spots here because I don't have a lot of room up here anymore. So I'm going to just kind of find a spot over here to put these clustered white blossoms. Yeah, let's do them right in here. Boom, boom, boom. It's really just kind of the width of the head of this brush. I'm just tapping these little clusters of flowers here. And try to make them, each little cluster look kind of rounded-ish. All right, there we go. Then let's do some more right here. And we're going to do these a little bit bigger because they're kind of more in our foreground-ish, kind of in the mid-ground, so they're going to be a little closer to us than these ones were. So just slightly bigger. Some of them can kind of touch. And actually, I just realized that I'm supposed to be touching them against these. They're these flower right here. So I'm just gonna bring some down low. I put them a little high right there. That's okay. We'll make it work. Yeah, and these were really pretty because there was a little white butterfly that was floating around, landed on these ones when I was taking these pictures. So there's a little butterfly in the picture right in here. You can't see it, but it's there. If you could zoom into it, you'd see it, but... Oh, I know, sorry. All right, then I'm going to use the white. A little bit of that color, a little bit of white. And I'm just going to dab some brighter highlights on just a few of these blossoms just to kind of bring them to the foreground a little bit. Shape them out a little bit. They're not Queen Anne's lace. They kind of have that look to them a little bit, but I'm not sure which ones these ones were. Elysium, maybe? I'm not sure.
Okay, on that
They
blue,
were white.
on that blue brush, what was that one again?
This is just white with a little tiny bit of that blue.
No. What size brush was that blue one?
1/4 inch Deerfoot.
1/4 inch Deerfoot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
At least you're paying attention to what you're doing.
I am.
I'm not.
I noticed.
I'm trying to do chat.
I see that. Thank you. That's why I have you around.
Sometimes I get the questions. Sometimes I miss them.
It's okay. Alrighty. Let's do some of these purpley spiked flowers. We can get some of this. Actually, I'm going to use this brush. This is the 1/4 inch Willow's blender. It's a little bit flatter, so it's going to be easier for these spiked flowers that I want to do here. I'm going to use the Quinacridone Magenta and some of the Unbleached Titanium here. And we'll put some of these spiky flowers back in here. There's not a lot of them in my picture, but I'm going to go ahead and add more than there because, we can. So, why Why not, right? There we go. And then I can add a little bit of the white color to it and just tap off a little bit on one side. Okay. And let's go ahead and do some of these over here. Right there. All right, I'm going to grab my brush here and I'm going to use the watercolor. I'm trying to spray all these, keep them wet while I'm working. Let me get some of this light green, add in a little bit of yellow. I'm going to go ahead and use that glazing liquid just to thin that out a little bit. Make it easier to use with this liner brush. Because you got to have thin paint for the liner brush or it won't work. And I'm going to, there we go in here and add some stems to these that were back here. And it's okay if I go over the top of them a little bit.
Somebody wants to know, would you consider this a wet-on-wet technique?
No, it's dry behind me, so no. Wet on wet's more of a blending, blending technique. So I would use that, like if I was wanting to, merge two of these colors together. But if you're meaning like wet on wet, is like, well, I have two colors together in my brush at the same time. So in that way, it is. I'm double loading is really what it's called. And I'm double loading my brush so that I've got more than one color on it at once while I'm painting it on here. And there we go. So some of it I'm going to leave just green because I don't want like flowers everywhere. It'll just overwhelm it or I won't know where to go. So we're kind of, as much as I would like to cover every square inch of this with flowers, I'm going to resist that temptation and just kind of try to keep it some grasses, some open spots for our eye to kind of breathe. Mark loves that saying.
What saying?
Our eyes breathing.
Yes. It is very crucial. My life has changed.
Since you learned that you need to let your eyes breathe?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long they were holding their breath. But it was years.
I'm going to do some yellow here. I'm going to do little tiny little yellow kind of horizontal sort of flowers here. Okay. You're welcome. I think maybe some little lithium down there or something. I don't know. Buttercups. Who knows? We're going to add more yellow to these, obviously, but let's go ahead and add more yellow to our daisies now that they're dry. Really should be using a smaller brush. This one's not wanting to make these small petals for me. I'm too lazy to clean it off. Okay, there we go. And actually there's some, I'm seeing some little pink or yellow flowers in here too. Just gonna kind of dab in a few right there. There's a few like right in here. Just gonna dab in a few right there. Okay. I'm going to glaze a little bit with this Ultramarine Blue in those little flowers right there. Just kind of tap in a little shadow in the middle of them. Thinned out, very thin Ultramarine Blue. Just tapping in here on these white ones to kind of tone down the centers a little bit. And grab a little bit of our white and some of that bright purple color that we did there. I'm going to add a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta to it if I can get it to mix. It's trying to dry on me. Okay, so I'm going to dab in some of these like purple flowers that are all mixed up in here, and then what we're going to have to do is go through and brighten them up with some glazing because they're just not going on. That white is dulling the color a little bit, so And there's a whole section right in here. So let's go ahead and do the green in front of all of this now that we've got all this on here. I'm going to go ahead and use this Deerfoot stippler and some of this. Let's go ahead and use that olive green that we mixed up with that ultramarine blue. And I don't remember what the other color was, but I'm going to just use this stippler and kind of dab it up right this way. Create some grasses. And each time we use a different brush too, we're kind of introducing a different sort of texture and kind of help keep it random. And we don't want it too different, you know, we don't want it to look like it's a different painting down here from a pin here, but it'll kind of help if we sort of vary it up. And there's grasses, and then there's bushes, and then there's, you know, leafy plants mixed in with more grassy plants. So just kind of doing a little bit of everything here. We use this brush with the darker color now to kind of add some shadows back in. Shadow over the top of some of this if we need it. Go over the top of our rock path here. Let's get some of the lighter color and we'll just tap off some grasses. So this one is quite a big bush right here. It's kind of coming along this whole area here and overlapping right in here. I'm going to get some of the brighter green here. Use some of the really bright green in this foreground area. And this brush may be, too big. It's actually doing a pretty decent job. It is kind of going on a little solid in some places, so I'm going to have to go back in here and kind of thin it out in places, but it's not doing a bad job for me, so keep using it here. I'm going to get some yellow, add it to my white. These leaves in here are kind of fern-like almost, so they're kind of thin and very fine. So using this brush or a fan brush or something to get these little fine leaves will help save us some time. Okay. I'm just trying to create little clusters, so I'm just going to try to pick a spot and create these little bushes in these little sections. So that's what I'm doing now, is just trying to figure out where my flowers are going and what their leaves look like, and creating these little spots for them to live. So far so good. Add some blue, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue together. Maybe a little bit of purple. And there's these purple spiked flowers. So I'm going to dab those on. Probably I think they were delphinium. They were really pretty. Excuse me. Using some white here. I'm going to go back over those. There's some of these in front of this thing too here. Let's put some right in here. There's a few of them live down in here. These ones are bigger. So we're just pressing down a little harder and making them a little bit bigger. There. And then there's some over here, even bigger. And I'm really going kind of light with these at first. What I'm going to do is let these dry, and then I'm going to go back in and glaze over these with that bright blue, and that'll really make them pop out at us. So there's some down low here that are this color that are kind of like those I'm trying to think of the name of the flower. That I really like them. They're really good in climbing baskets. They grow short, and they what are they called? I can't remember any of the names of these flowers today.
Blue, yellow, purple.
They're these little purple ones.
Pink.
They grow in those baskets that I get every year usually. I can't remember the name of them. They're not lantana. Those are the yellow clustered ones.
Lavender.
Liriope, maybe? I can't remember. No, they're not lavender. They have little they look like a mini iris almost. They've got 3, or like a violet, like a little violet. I don't know. Anyhow, it's too late. I can't remember. My brain's not working today. Right on cold mist and
Liberia?
huh?
Liberia? That sounds like a country.
Yeah, it's a country.
So probably not that. We don't have that in our flower baskets. Forget-me-nots.
Okay.
Viola.
No, they're kind of like that.
Periwinkle.
No. Okay, so I'm making some of these same purple flowers that were back here, just a little bit. More obvious. No, I can't think of it. I'll think of it after the show. I always had a hard time remembering them though, so I might not. They have a weird name. It's not a common name.
We got a lobelia.
Yep, that's the one I think. Yep. Lobelia. Yep.
Oh man. Good job.
Ding ding ding. Who won the prize this time?
Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
All right. 20% off also for you. You got winners all over the
Jane
place
gets
today.
a free shout out in the show. All right. Thank you, Jane. Yeah, that was driving me crazy. Okay. So these ones down here are those kind of, they're a little bit more, they're going to be more visible. So I'm going to try to make like the shape of the leaf at least a little bit. Or at least try to, I'm still not really taking a whole lot of time with this, but just, they've got that kind of, they look like this almost, they're kind of fan out in all directions. So I'm just kind of creating these little overlapping fan-shaped leaves here. And sometimes they're not going to be facing completely out, so don't try to, do them all perfectly matchy-matchy, because some of them are going to be, turned and you're only seeing part of them, or they're overlapped with other things. So I'm just kind of wiggling around and sort of creating sort of the semblance of the essence of the flower, of the leaf, I should say. And then there's some of them up in here, so we'll go ahead and put some of that up in here. And these ones are a little farther away, so we're not seeing them quite as clearly. I already put the flower in around before I put these in, so I'm just going to have to tap around them to try to kind of fill in these. And then up in here, get some of this brighter green here. Add that to the light color. And up in here, there's some like more leafy things happening. So I'm just going to kind of set my brush down and let it create some leaves. Same thing over here. Just going to some bigger leaf shapes. Set my brush down and kind of pull to get some larger leaf shapes. Okay, get close. Okay, so up in here, and I want to make sure that I've got like stems on all these, so I'm going to go back through and kind of add stems to some of these purpley flowers here that I have. Make sure they have a way to grow. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's coming together pretty good. Let's get some of our red on there, and that'll really make it pop. But I'm going to put these pink flowers down in here. And these ones are kind of, some of them down here I'm going to go ahead and kind of shape out a little bit because they're getting a little bit bigger, so you can kind of see the shape of them. Yeah, they're all through in here. All right, let's do our yellow flowers right in through here. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of the yellow oxide, mix it with the cadmium yellow light or cadmium yellow medium, and I'm going to do these yellow flowers that are all back in here. Try to get it on there loaded so that I get a good round dot when I do this. This brush is going to be a pain in the butt to clean out. I've got that paint all kicked up in it. Don't do that. Try to clean that out.
So somebody's asked about, do you have any suggestions for brushes?
Okay. For buying brushes?
Yes.
What brushes to buy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a recommended brush list in thebrushguys.com. So if you go down in the video description there's a link to thebrushguys.com, and there's they actually have a coupon code. So if you buy any of their brushes and use the code Angela Fine Art, then you get 5% off, and I get a little thank you kickback there too. It's a win-win. You can support our channel, get some brushes. They actually have really, really good prices. They're great to work with. We've worked with them for 3 or 4 years now. 3 years now, I guess. This is the 3rd year going with them, and I've never heard a bad thing about them. They're really great to work with. They just gave away a bunch of brushes to my Patreon folks, and yeah, home business. A couple brothers out of California, great guys. So, and they really do have good prices on their brushes, or I wouldn't be suggesting it. Yeah, I don't. We turn down a lot of different sponsors. We only kind of sponsor those that we believe in or use, or that kind of thing. So anyhow, so long story. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And there's too many to list off here, random. But they do have I suggested or requested, and they did a special essential beginners set just for our folks. And so it's like $50, I think, and it's like all my favorite brushes that I would suggest for beginners to start with. So I've got these angle brushes and just different ones, and yeah, so you can check that out if you want to. They're all listed there, but they gave a discount, so it's a little bit cheaper than buying them individually if you buy them in the set. So anyhow. All right, just filling in with these yellow flowers. Lots of dots. I'm going back in now with my light. Light yellow. Adding some highlights to these. In our picture, they're really overlapped, so I'm torn because I'm trying to get these as close as I can without losing all of their detail, and We may just have to go back in and add some green separations between some of these if they get too close together. Look at that. Do not do that. That's only because my paint's getting dry. It's getting sticky and it's just clumping up on me. And so then you want to kind of merge these two, you know, because of course you're not going to ever have one flower that's not crisscrossing over into the other. It always looks good to kind of have them sort of meandering into one another there. So do that. Get some teal here. I need to find a spot that's clean, so I'm going to make myself a spot that's clean right here in the middle where I first started.
So is the pathway finished?
No, probably gonna shadow it a little bit, but maybe add a few highlights, but I feel like it's a little bit dark still in some spots. All right, let's see, where was I here? Okay, so let me get some glazing liquid here. See if we can get some glazes on some of these flowers that are in the background. Get them brightened up. So I'm glazing with the Quinacridone Magenta, and I'm going to go over the top of some of these that are back here where we did the lighter color, and it'll make them really pop out a little bit more. And really, we could do, let's do some white dots. We'll do some white dots back here, and then we'll know that they'll be really bright. Same with over here. Let's just do some really bright white dots where we want our flowers to be. That will make sure that we have really vivid colors on our flowers. Because going over the top of that green, that purple, those pinks and purples just kind of disappear. So you kind of have to get that really bright pink. And the only way to do that is go down like white or very light and then glaze over the top. So I'm going to glaze these, brighten these up a little bit. Now you can see them. Let's do our poppies. I'm going to use orange and quinacridone, cadmium orange and quinacridone here. And I'm going to create some large poppies right in here. And these are probably going to have to be also touched up with white to make sure that they really stand out. We're going to kind of put them in first and then see how they do. But I have a feeling that we're going to have some white in here. going to go in with this white here. And it's going to look kind of weird, but we'll be glad we did it later once we go back over it. Because then all these areas will be much brighter. Let's do them all up and through here. So all of this whole area up here is all puppies. And up in here, they're going to look kind of like V shapes. So I'm going to kind of make cone shapes out of them. And then there's another section of red up in here. And these ones are so far away that they're looking kind of like straight lines. So I'm going to kind of put them in straight almost. Like that. Okay.
So tomorrow, bonus day.
Yeah, we're doing a bonus video tomorrow. It's going to be the orchid on rocks. As long as I'm continue to start to feel better. If I wake up and feel worse than I do today, I may not, because today was borderline. Mark could tell you I woke up late, stayed up for about an hour, and lay back down for about 3 hours. That's how today went. So that's been what I wanted to do all week, but I've been too busy because we've had construction people at the house. So I can't take a nap. Awkward. Try to take a nap with people in your house. I should say non-family people.
Non-family members. So tomorrow's bonus video will be brought to you by Patreon.
Yes.
Not too late to sign up. It's available at the $5 level and above. And you'll get a link. It'll be on Crowdcast.
Yes.
And so you'll just log in and you'll
you don't have to have a Crowdcast account. You just have to have an email address that they can send the link to. So that's all you have to do is just give them their email address, and then they'll ask you to log into your Patreon account to verify your Patreon membership. And that's it.
Right, you don't have to create a Crowdcast account.
No, please don't, because you don't have to pay for
Pay Crowdcast.
you don't have to pay for it. It's free. It's free to patrons. So yeah, we had some confusion the first couple of weeks, but I think we've cleared that up now, hopefully. So just
and then
there's some smaller daisies here too. I'm going to go ahead and kind of put some of those in.
Then on Tuesday night,
Yep.
we're back with the Aster flower.
Yes, flower of the month. Esther. Should be a fun one.
Ooh, I see a fall roadway, autumn roadway coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I didn't intend it to be, but this was kind of the month of pathways. There's 3 path paintings this month. So it's kind of, don't know why, but if that's meaningful to you, there you go.
We're on a journey from summer to fall.
There you go. Yeah. Journey from bad carpet to nice hardwood floors. Here, that's our journey. We're in a journey from total chaos to hopefully a finished house soon. Maybe 2 more weeks. We're fingers crossed. He thinks next week. I think we'll see. We'll see. So it's been quite a summer around here.
Yep.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's see how we do here. almost done. Yep, about 2 hours, so that's not bad. That's about what I thought. I thought an hour and a half at least, so. Get some more of that gray. I'm gonna glaze with this. I'm gonna come along the sides of the thing. It's already kind of dark there, so I'm just gonna make sure that I have a nice dark border on this side to my pathway. Maybe add some of this dark in a couple spots. And then I'm gonna, let's grab this one. This will make us a nice texture. Grab that Unbleached Titanium and mix it a little bit with that brown burnt umber. Wipe most of it off. And I'm just gonna kind of drag it side to side here and add some more highlights to some of those areas. I'm gonna mix them with my shadow color too, which I don't mind. Almost looks like steps. And get some more of the burnt umber. Just straight burnt umber here. There we go. Okay, let's add a few more little leaves. You want to get this paint down to a milky consistency. You have to add a lot of water to it. A lot of water. And then if I add a little glazing liquid, that'll make it so it doesn't unbind to my canvas, because when you add water, you can destabilize the paint a little bit. Make it not stick to your canvas very well. I'm gonna need more white there. So I should be able to kind of see through it. It shouldn't feel very heavy when I'm gliding it through there. I should be able to easily see through the paint. It should be like a milk consistency. So we'll see how that does. Yeah, it's working pretty good. But it's way too dark. I can't see it. There we go. Want it somewhere in between there. This one is. Just trying to add some random grasses here, just sticking out here and there. Doesn't have to be everywhere. You're just going to want it to kind of break up all the sameness, you know. Break up the lines a little bit. Pull some of this over the edge of the walkway. Some places, if we haven't already. We've got most of it going pretty good, I think. But just make sure we've got it all the way we want it. Do some small ones for my bushes back there. Okay. Get them a little bit over. If you get them over the top of a flower that you don't want them to be over the top of, you can always just take a wet paper towel and just kind of tap off. But I think we're good. Let's get some of the bright blue now. I'm going to get some of that ultramarine blue and some glazing liquid. I'm going to go over the top of these blue ones here. Just going to brighten those up. I really needed just white to start with because these are all just a little bit too faded. Put in some white here, let that dry. We'll work on some other areas. We'll come back to it. It'll be bright enough for us to use. Yeah, these just dried too dark. They need to be white pretty much for this glazing to work. Let's see if the poppies come out bright enough. Add a little bit of that quinacridone to the cadmium red light. It's going to make it really bright cherry red. Yeah, it seems to be working. There we go.
hanging in there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to get some fresh paint out here. I need some white and some cadmium yellow light. And some more glazing liquid. I'm just going to work up in here. Almost done, hun.
I'm just kicking back, watching the show.
Okay. Let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and get some purple here. And glaze a little bit of purple.
With which brush?
In my, this is the 1/4 inch Willow's blender.
So you didn't actually paint the butterfly. There's just a butterfly in the picture.
Right.
And those white flowers.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah, I
right hand
didn't paint
side.
them. What?
The right hand side bunch there.
Yeah. Are you zooming in? You can zoom in. You can see them.
I can't zoom in on the picture.
On this side. Yeah, you can.
On the photograph?
Yeah, you just have to make it bigger. It'd take up the whole body. Or you could go back to the. You could go back to the original screen. You can see it on that. It's in that. It's in this
The
little
title?
cluster. It's like right in here. You can see it at the top of the screen, up in the corner. It's a little V shape. Here, I'll paint it in.
Oh yeah, we see it now.
I'll just paint it in real quick in my.
Oh, we're in the
painting.
title. People are seeing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll paint it in. We'll paint the butterfly in here. There it is. Not very good, but it's close enough. Okay, let's.
Okay, but did they find the number 4?
The number 4.
It's like one of those hidden object paintings.
Is it?
There's a cruise ship. There's a sack of potatoes.
Uh-huh.
A candy cane. Did everybody find them?
Stop.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, burnt umber here. I'm doing some centers on these puppies here. It worked out pretty good having that darker color or the brighter color in there first. These ones back here, we're not seeing the centers really because they're not facing us. Yeah. There's these little daisy-like flowers in here that are there. Okay, these should be dry enough now. We can glaze with that blue. Let's try this again. 3rd time's the charm. Boom. Now they're bright blue. Look at how bright that is. And I made these longer than they're supposed to be, but oh well.
It's your world. You do what you want.
Exactly. This is my fantasy garden. I built it myself.
I noticed I'm not in there.
Great job. This is like one of the most beautiful gardens I've ever seen. Blank stares. Looking at each other. Looking back at me. Like, is she for real? And they're like, oh, thanks. We were just hired to put these in right here. We were told where they go. They probably needed to contact the master gardener to let them know what I thought. The people putting the flowers in didn't care what I thought at all. It was so funny. I bet they were college students.
What is she on?
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to let you know these are the most beautiful gardens I've ever seen. Okay. Thank you, lady. That's pretty much how the conversation went. Okay, let's do down here too. Some of these purple. Let's make these purple. They're supposed to be those purpley flowers there. You can see how that white really helps make that blue pop.
All right, I need you to point, or actually pull the canvas to the left a little bit. I'm going to zoom in on your butterfly.
My butterfly, oh, it's not very good. It's just a V. It's a little V.
That's right,
Right there.
there.
Yeah. And I didn't do it in the right direction either, so it's okay. You really don't need to zoom in on it.
Okay, well,
Not
everybody's
that impressive.
happy now.
You happy now? Okay.
So they got to clap their hands.
Okay, let me see here. I'm trying to get the right. There we go. I think that's close enough. I'm gonna glaze with this kind of violet, blue violet, pink color over the top of these flowers here. Now, I think they're a little bit brighter. Let me see. I may just do Quinacridone Magenta. I may just have to. I have a really hard time finding that bright violet color. I need to. I might try Quinacridone Violet because I do have that. That may be closer to what I'm looking for because it's not quite magenta. Magenta works in a pinch, but I'm really wanting more of a purpley toned.
That's why I usually carry it around.
You're too zoomed in, honey. I'm going off camera. Yes. Well, I'm not zooming it in. Wasn't me. What were you saying?
I don't know. It was witty, but I've lost it. I lost it now, yeah.
Yeah, you're...
I'm saying that's why I always carry it with me in case I'm in a pinch.
Carry what with you?
Magenta or something. You said something that would work in a pinch. See? It got...
It wasn't worth it.
It's worth the price of admission. They just have to deal with it.
Oops, I forgot to put the red on these ones back here. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, it's done here. Yeah, and then I want some of this brighter orange here. I'm going to get some brighter orange, cadmium orange, some of the white. I'm just going to add some highlights to some of these puppies.
It was at this point the painting became just one mass of flowers.
I did leave some green up here.
What was that? You painted a house with a garden in front of it, and it
Yeah, it was just a bunch of
Like-
flowers.
40 times more flowers in the picture.
Yes. Well, when you've got the power of the brush, you can add more flowers. You can add as many as you want.
She's in the flower zone.
I am. She's adding the flowers, folks. Okay. Okay, we're pretty close. I kind of covered up these ones over here, but that's all right. I'm not too worried about it. This is very, very, like I said, it's very kind of my own interpretation of it. It's not going to be particularly realistic looking. We're just having fun. Painting some flowers.
On a Saturday.
Yep. I know. I'm enjoying it.
Me too.
Good. And some brown to my flowers back there. And let's see, there's some let's get a little bit of this highlight color. I'm going to add a little bit, dabs of the highlight color to the centers of some of these poppies. This is the Unbleached Titanium here. And then maybe one more layer of the really bright red on just a few of them. Quinacridone and Cadmium Red Light. I don't know what is happening there. It's all starting to dry. I think those are good. Oh yeah, I was going to do more yellow on these flowers because they're kind of see-through-ish. I'm going to clean that out really good and then put some more yellow and we'll be done. It's already dry just in that short time. So I'm just going to find some of the most prominent ones of these and just add a little pop of highlight to them. Pull them to the foreground. And they've got leaves, those leaves that we did over the top, so I can kind of cover over some of my branches too. There we go. Much better. We painted these in one of my recent paintings. I didn't realize that they were real flowers until I saw them in person. I thought that they were like a kind of a fake flower, and my friend knew what they were. I can't remember what they were called, but these little yellow round ones, they look like buttons. Yeah, we painted them with a teacup, and they were kind of on their side, and they're a little round. It was one of my challenge images for my Facebook group that I do, my Patreon Facebook group. They did it last year. They were really fun to paint. All right, I'm going to call that good. We'll stop there. I think we're good. We got most of everything in there. And more. Let me paint. Let me sign it. I didn't really develop these much, so if you want to take a little more time, you can kind of spend more time on those ones on that side. But sign my name. Call that good. All right, that was kind of a fun little one. Hope you enjoyed it. A little bit different. And yeah, I think I want to actually, now that I see this done, Mark's laughing because I always do this after I sign. This
I
is
was
sure sign
not
that
fooled
something else
at
is gonna
all.
happen.
Not one bit.
You didn't surprise you this time?
No.
Okay. I'm just gonna put some, oh, too much on the brush. Let's try this again. Why is it doing that? There we go. Bring that out over the path a little bit right there. You okay? Mark got real quiet.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
No,
Okay. Good.
just keeping my eye on chat.
Have you had to ban anybody today?
There was one person earlier.
Okay. And they deserved it this time?
Yeah, Dom crushed them
Nice.
mercilessly.
Good job, Dom.
Banned them to the netherworld.
Banhammer. Go, Banhammer. Okay. Yeah, I just feel like there was a lot of yellow there. Just a lot of unbroken yellow there. I might use a little bit of the pink or something down low, or a little bit of this blue, purpley blue. Just dab a little bit down in here. All right, I'm gonna stop because I could do this all day. Just add a little bit of there and a little bit of here and a little bit there. Yeah, it's fun. I definitely wish that these colors were a little bit brighter. I think that I'm gonna try Quinacridone Magenta next, or Quinacridone Violet next time, maybe, see if it works better. And I also feel like that this up here needs to be brought in a little bit right here, because it gets wide, narrow, and then it goes a little bit wider. So I'm just gonna kind of bring some grasses out over the top of my path right there. There we go. Get some of that dark.
So we're looking forward to a Sunday afternoon with our Patreon supporters as a special thank you
Yeah,
for just amazing, amazing, amazing support.
y'all are so good to us.
Yeah.
We just can't thank you enough for everything that you guys, all the letters and the comments and everything. It just makes it so fun for us to get to know you all and share this art stuff with you, art journey together. It's a lot of fun.
In the Patreon videos, there's always a much smaller crowd,
Right.
and so it's a little bit more intimate and
Yeah.
a great time, and so
All right, I'm going to call it quits there. Thanks, guys, so much. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, those who are patrons, as long as I'm continue to be on the mend from this cold. If I wake up with a 104-degree temperature, then we'll call it off. But other than that, we'll be there tomorrow. And we'll be painting some orchids with rocks. There'll be a lot of really nice blending lesson. Oh, I'm sorry. Blending on the rocks, and then we'll be doing some. Actually, go ahead and show them the picture because it's in the thing. It's over. If you click on bonus video, it'll, yeah, so there it is right there. That's what we're painting tomorrow. So hope you can join us if you're part of the $5 crew. The link will be on
Yep.
Crowdcast. So yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we'll be. All right, we'll see you next time. If you're not part of that group, we'll be back on Tuesday night for our Flower of the Month, and then back next weekend for a woman on the beach, I think. So that one, yeah, I don't think that one will be super hard. I think it's going to be easier than, hopefully. All right, I always say that, but all right, thanks for joining us today, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.